Welcome to She Talks, a series where we speak to women who are driven by purpose, who are independent, vulnerable, strong, emotionally, financially. But what all these women have in common is that they all have stories, and their stories inspire. Hi, I'm Richa, and I'm the founder of shewealth, a financial education platform for women, where through simple courses on money, we try and teach them how to invest their money and create wealth for themselves and their families. She Talks is an initiative of shewealth. Uh, the pure purpose of me meaning to spend time and share some space with amazing women who inspire me, and I would like them and their stories to inspire everybody who watches this. So I have a very special guest with me today, Aruna VN. Aruna is the founder of Yoga Darshini. And whereas that in itself is an amazing story, what is more interesting is how she got here. She's pivoted so many times in life, and we'll just get to hear from her how she's done what she's done. So, Aruna, hi and welcome to She Talks. I'm so glad you could find the time to speak to me this morning.
Thank you so much, Richard. It's a great honor to be invited by you and to be, share my story here with all of you. And thank you so much for giving me this platform. Really appreciate it.
Great. So, Aruna, whereas, we're definitely interested in yoga, especially the last 3 years have really put us into this mode of looking after our own health and something that can be done from home and does not require us stepping out too much or, depending on trainers or instruments or equipment. So yoga really has become a big thing, at least in terms of self-care in the past few years of the pandemic. But whereas we will want to talk about that, I would first want to get to know you a little better. Tell me, take us back to your childhood. Tell us how that was. Where were you growing up? Where were you born? How were you as a kid?
So I am born and brought up in Chennai, and I've lived in Chennai all through my life. Right from childhood, I've always been interested in reading. So I was this typical nerdy kid who just used to roam around with a book, who didn't trouble her parents for anything, who was happy and content reading comics and books. And of course, I have a great set of friends and everything. So being in a typical middle class family, so and because I like studying, because I like learning, I did well in school. So my parents were like, no, now you have to do engineering because otherwise it'll be a waste of your talents and all that. So
a typical mindset of parents where if the child is bright, you take up science and you do either an engineering or a medicine degree. But what were your favorite subjects, let's say?
Oh, I liked all subjects. I liked history a lot. History, geography, languages were a big favorite. I also enjoyed science, physics, chemistry, biology was the big favorite for
So
me.
you really loved studying.
I loved studying.
You enjoyed.
See, now, yeah, nowadays people feel like, oh, school education is so useless. They should teach us taxes instead of calculus, and they should teach us life skills instead of trigonometry and all that. While I agree that life skills have to be taught, school gives a wonderful exposure to what all is available for us to study. It calculus, trigonometry, everything is shaping our world. We use technology because of all these things, and it is not useless. Algebra is not useless. You may not be directly using it, but
I agree. Yeah.
World of possibilities, saying that all these are there, and maybe you can consider going into it. So it's like a sneak peek into how far we have come as humanity. So I studied out of curiosity, and mark just happened by the side. I was not really worried about it.
Awesome. So you went on to do an
engineering. I hated it.
Oh, okay.
It didn't make me feel curious. It didn't spark any joy. Sorry to sound so cliched, but I was like, let me get through this 4 years. I will just finish it.
What college was this? Which college did you go to?
SA Engineering College. It's in Punamalli in Chennai. I
Okay.
did electronics and communications engineering. I qualified with 80% distinction, but I don't remember a thing out of those 4 years. So
That is very common about college education. Somehow,
yeah,
we learn things, but we exactly don't remember what we studied because we just
absolutely.
tend to, because while we are still in school, we are like, sincere students. We're kids. We listen to our parents and teachers, and we study well. In college, you become independent all of a sudden, and then you start managing your own time, and then end up not studying.
Yeah, so I realized that I didn't want to go into the IT field because I found that this logical thinking, coding, all these things weren't something that I enjoy, and I'm not wired to do it. So even though I got placed, I decided that I immediately have to do an MBA, and while doing the MBA, I really took up a lot of interest in finance because I had a fantastic faculty for finance. So she kind of inspired me to get into the finance sector. So then I joined banks. I worked with Citi and with Kotak in the commercial banking space, not in the retail. So where we have to deal with companies, especially SMEs. So the liabilities as well as the asset part of it I was dealing with. And while I was, handling the Chennai's SME book for Kotak, I again realized that even though I had a great faculty for finance, I am not the person who enjoys numbers. I understand them well. I understand balance sheets. I can read them. I can see and check whether how much loan they are eligible for, their stock statement, cash credit flow, everything you can do. But it's not something that is like, I was like, yes, this really excites me. It was not that I
That, that's an
enjoyed
interesting
interact.
That's an interesting thing you say because a lot of times students and parents tend to mix these two up. If you're good at something, you are expected to enjoy that, but that necessarily isn't the case all the time.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah,
yeah, you could be good at something just because you're intelligent or you are a good
yeah,
learner or whatever,
absolutely,
but you might not
absolutely.
still enjoy it so much that you would want to spend 8 hours out of 24 doing that.
The converse is also true. You may be bad at something and you enjoy doing it too.
Yeah. That is a
Like for
tricky place. That is a tricky place to be in. You enjoy something, but you bad at it. Now, how do you pick it up
yeah. No, but you
properly?
need not make money out of it. See,
Yeah.
I enjoy drawing. Okay, I love playing with colors.
Mm.
That's how I de-stress. Doesn't mean that I'm a great artist. I may be absolutely bad at it, but it is something that gives me so much joy and satisfaction. So I still do it. Like I don't have to worry about what others will think about what I do. And I'm not making money out of it. And
Mm.
not everything that we like has to earn us money also. So that is another confusion that I think we all get caught up. Like you have to
Mm.
make money out of your passion. Not necessary. You can do your 9 to 5 or whatever it is out of whatever commitments that you have to fulfill and still have that as an enabler to pursue your passions. And yeah, so
Yeah. But tell me something. Now when you look back at your school and college life, and also I'd say your initial 5 years of your career as a banker,
Mhm.
what do you think? What were the skills that you picked up? Because it's not so much about what subjects you studied or what work you did, what your job profile was, but there are certain skills that you pick up which are universal, and that
Yeah,
things that maybe you apply to life in general. So anything
absolutely.
that you picked up as a kid, as a college goer, or a young working professional, what were those key things that life taught you then?
As a working professional, I really picked up how to stay organized. That was something that really helped me a lot in my work because you're handling multiple things, and unless until you're organized, then you're going to get it from all sides, especially if you're a client-facing personnel, right? So being organized is something that I got from my banking and people skills. How to be patient, because most of the time there are like they're not big time entrepreneurs but like fairly decent sized tickets that we are handling, and they're always under stress because they have to run their business, and the banker is one of the person with whom they where is my money.
Yes, yes.
How
So, whereas
take
it's very common to romanticize the idea of entrepreneurship and all that. But I think, working in a corporate setup also teaches you a lot of things that, eventually
absolutely,
you can translate into your entrepreneurial life. Because, and also it's a
absolutely.
fairly lower risk thing. You're a salaried employee, not so much as at risk about running the business, but you're learning. So it's a good ground. So I say that to a lot of people who want to start up and maybe are just studying in college. It's good to spend a few years working in a corporate setup. It teaches you a
Oh,
lot of things without
I
the
can't
risk
agree
of,
more.
yeah.
I can't agree more. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, yeah.
This is something when I was doing my MBA, I was like, I want to work in the social sector or I want to do something on my own. This was there, even though I had no idea what I wanted to do at 23 years old. But my lecturer, my favorite faculty, the finance faculty, so she was like, no, Aruna, you go and work in an established corporate. That's where you will learn the systems, you will learn the processes, you will learn how to be organized, because that's what an organization is, and you need to have that exposure for you to take further decisions down the line. But definitely don't jump into all this as a complete fresher. Get
Yeah,
your exposure in the corporate sector. So
true.
that is something I keep telling to people who immediately want to, especially who want to jump into a social sector.
Mm.
uh, yeah. So
So what made you jump into the social sector? 5 years of banking, and then why that switch?
So as I was saying, I was doing very well as a banker, getting good money.
Right.
So
And it's difficult to give that up.
absolutely. So, but you have this existential question like, is this all there is to life? Like, you
Mm.
just run Monday to Friday, and then weekend you just spend all the money that you earn, and then what am I doing with my life, kind of a thing. So I thought I should take a break. One thing that really helped me to take this break, and I think this is very important for all of us to ensure, is that me and my husband is a chartered accountant, by the way, and he's into corporate. So he's like, I'm happy being an employee kind of a person. So we both made a very conscious decision soon after the marriage that we will not be getting into any debt.
Mm.
So we decided that we live in our own home, and so we said we are not going to invest in any property and get into the EMI trap, because then it really impacts the kind of flexibility and freedom that life can afford to you.
True.
Um, and being a banker, I don't own credit cards. I've never owned credit cards. My husband doesn't have a credit card. So we are very conservative when it comes to money. And by nature, we are we don't have this pressure to keep up a certain lifestyle or anything like that. We are who we are, and money is just something that we need to live our lives, not something to flaunt or anything like that. So
Yes.
that really helped me to come out of my, it was still a big thing, because I'm going to lose my income. And my mother, she was also a banker. Okay, so she was like, when in 1978 she got into SBI, and then during the emergency she lost the job, and then she fought in court and got her job back, and then
Wow.
she was 28 and she got married at that time. So that is pretty late for
Mhm.
those times. Even
Yes.
now people consider it so. And she rejected many alliances because they wanted the wife to be a stay-at-home wife. So
Mm.
she fiercely independent about her
Yes,
finances, and it has been
I
very
was going to ask you about your parents, because sometimes you just get a sense that so you have a sense of abandon. You don't feel scared when you make tough decisions. You leave something, you move into a new thing, trying to establish yourself all over again. That has to, in most cases, come from something which is very core to you, and has been something you've seen growing up. So, and parents are those influential figures in our lives, for the largest part of our initial growing up years. So definitely,
absolutely.
when you have strong parents, you have working parents who understand. I think that just the children imbibe
Yeah,
all
yeah,
those qualities.
absolutely. So it has been drilled into me to be financially independent, especially
Yeah.
as a woman, because you never know what's going to happen in life and you should always have your own means.
Yeah.
And my dad has always been, completely reliant on my mother for any financial decisions because A, she worked in a bank, so it was easy to do whatever transaction. And B, my dad is an engineer, right? So he's like, okay, I am happy with my work. Let me go to the factory. Let me design pumps, and I don't want to do all this work.
So
So
you've literally taken 50% of your father's genes and 50% of your mom's. You did engineering, you did banking. And
yeah,
where did this entrepreneurship thing come in then? What gene is that?
I don't know. I think
That
must
is
be
a
from my
mutation.
grandparents.
That is a
No, no.
mutation.
So so that's what I was telling is, so having that no debt, no commitment helped me take that decision to leave my job and explore. And I had no idea what I was going to do, right? So, but by that time, just to take a little deviation, I was already, trying to figure out answers to these existential questions by going to a lot of Vedanta lectures and,
Okay.
inquiring into self and all that. And it is really nice. And I think that should be more of a mainstream education because it really opens up the possibility of who you are and
Yeah.
not being caught up in little things. So,
Mm.
so that also helped me quit my job. And at that time, my acharya, my teacher from Chimya Mission, with whom I was associated, like
Mm.
I was already running a lot, right? Like I had all these unresolved questions within me, and I was just letting it out by running like crazy and doing triathlons and get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, run, cycle, swim, do all this nonsense.
Wow.
So she was like, you know what? Now that you've quit your job, you go attend yoga teacher training. I was like, okay, let
Mm.
me try. I've
So,
never done
but
yoga before.
as a kid, had you seen your parents doing yoga or nothing? Okay.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So, so I went to the teacher training without any experience of yoga. Like I have
Wow.
not done yoga.
But that's an interesting thing that you say, because I would assume that to be a yoga teacher, you at least must be a yoga practitioner to begin with. But
See,
maybe that's not the case.
I didn't have any plans to teach. So that is a great program to build your own self practice. And I remember like right after the first class, I went to my teacher. It's like, hey, listen, everybody here is like so advanced.
Yeah.
They can stand on their head, they can touch their toes, and I am like one robo standing. Do you really appropriate for me? Should I just leave? She's like, no, advance is just a mindset. You just stick on. I feel it's going to work well for you. She says, like, so
Mhm.
thankful she said that.
So which year was this?
This
What
was in
time?
2016. This was in
Okay.
2016. So that's when I quit my job and then I
Mm.
had time. And I went for this course and I came back and I was just doing self practice. I really fell in love with it because it kind of,
Mm.
I was already doing my Vedanta studies. This is like a practical application of all that you studied and
Okay.
they two combined together.
What is
So,
the Vedanta study? What is it? I mean, just very briefly for people who don't understand. Like what do
so
you study?
Veda Anta, end of Vedas.
Okay, so
You
you
study about.
study the four Veds and what they
No,
teach.
no, 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 no. You just
That's
study about Upanishads,
Acha.
Bhagavad Gita, all that, all
Okay.
self-inquiry. Answering
Mhm.
that fundamental questions.
And where do you learn all these? So is it like a course that you attended
Yeah,
or
there are a lot of courses.
okay,
Chimya Mission has fantastic foundational courses. You can do it,
okay,
long distance. And there are a lot of study groups, a lot of material is available online.
all right.
I have also done a series on foundational Vedanta text called Tattva Bodha, just a
So
25 part.
I will try and link these up. If you share those
Yeah,
links
yeah,
with me, I'll link those
yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah. I will
There
do
could
that.
be people who are interested and might want to check it out.
Absolutely. See,
So
people think that it is spirituality is something that you do it when you're old and you have nothing else to do in your life.
yeah,
But no, that's not true.
no, I think
When
that's changing because
you have the spiritual knowledge, then
mm,
everything becomes easy in life. Everything literally becomes a lot more easier in life. You
yeah,
become so much more joyful. You're not worried. You're more equipoised. Shit
yeah.
happens to everyone. There is nobody can escape shit happening to us. But you are not too bothered by the shit happenings.
But tell me,
Anyway,
how do you handle what? So, what are the challenges that you face on a daily basis? And I would put that in the context of you being a founder now. So, with all of this knowledge
before
and
I come to the founder piece, yeah, let me. So 2016, and you were asking how I went into the social sector. So
yeah,
my running friend was a director of a special needs school. So she
okay,
was like, Aruna, why don't you come and help us with communication, with strategy, fundraising and everything. That's how I got into it. And
okay,
we were there in the institution for almost 3 years, and it was fantastic. But then we had the question, like, what will happen to these adults? Like, how long will they be in the institution? Like, is there no scope for them to be financially independent? It again comes back to that. So that's why I'm taking
yeah,
this moment here.
uh,
So then we started a sheltered employment
okay,
for them called Special Needs Empowerment Hub in 2019. And it was the same year. My spiritual guru from from Chinmaya Mission, Swami Tejamananda, he said, Aruna, you have to teach yoga. I was like, where is this coming from? That was not there at all. Like, Aruna, you have to teach yoga. And he only named it as Yoga Darshini.
okay.
So so it
Interesting.
all happened.
What is also interesting, so you took a break and then you started going on these whatever
Yeah.
runs and meeting people, and how interesting that you found your second path there, because you met with people who introduced you to maybe somebody who's running a school, and then you met with
Absolutely.
somebody. So it's sometimes we feel that when we try and pivot or take a break, we're doing nothing and we're just wasting our time. But it's so important to realize that you might meet people who will lead you to something. And
Perfectly. You've summed
and
it
which
up
is
so
why,
well.
and I think these are the dots you can join only when you look back.
Absolutely.
You cannot,
See,
for
the
you
thing is, you are very right. See,
yeah,
more than I feel as an entrepreneur now, we should focus more on building connections, not everybody. You don't have to talk to everybody from purely a business point of view, whether this person is going to be my customer, whether this person is going to be my vendor, or, it need not be like that. Just connect with people, and, you never know what's going to come out of it.
absolutely. So there's
And
a very interesting story I read about Steve Jobs in some of his interview. He said, when I was studying in college, I was doing computers, technology, I was interested in all that. But as a side subject, I picked up calligraphy, which had nothing to do with computers. But 10-15 years later, when he was designing the fonts for MacBook, he said, my knowledge of calligraphy helped me design those unique fonts. So
see,
see how things,
and for all we
somehow.
know, he might have been really bad at calligraphy. For all we know.
So you never know what will benefit you. So it's always good to keep exploring new things, meeting up with people you don't know nothing about. So
Absolutely.
awesome. So
And you do this with an open mind. It's like,
yeah.
what we may expect maybe something very little, and what we may actually be in store for us maybe something really big and mind blowing. So
Yes. Yeah.
so let's
Yeah.
not limit ourselves. And it is also important that I think, we should connect with a lot of awareness, like not just for the purpose of connecting, but also genuinely connecting from an intention of kindness and mindfulness. And I'm not saying because I'm a yoga teacher, but as humans, I
Yeah.
think we should do
No,
that. Yeah.
I think this is great what you're doing. Definitely you've seen the benefits in your life, and which is why perhaps you want to make other people also want to do this. So what is the idea behind Yoga Darshini? What do you do? Are these online courses? Are these one-on-one physical courses, or you teach people to become trainers? What do you do, like, just to help us understand?
So Yoga Darshini is also pivoted, and I think it will continue to pivot for a long time to come, as should any good business, I feel. So I started because my Guruji said teach yoga. I was like, what should I do? So I started reaching out to corporates because that's what I've always been doing. And I started teaching corporates. I went to their premise and I was, doing classes for their employees and doing workshops because I personally felt I was having a lot of, unhappiness when I was in a corporate job. Not because the corporate was bad or anything, simply because of my own mindset. And that is something that is very close to me. And, I wanted to share these things with them, like just plant the seeds. So maybe their perspective will change and something may click in them to make them feel a little better. So
Okay.
then what happened? SNE was happening side by side. And one of the partnering institutions said like, hey, we have a parking space that is like, you can come and take your morning classes over here. It's like, okay. So that happened in December to 2019. And as we all know what happened in March 2020, just when things were starting to pick up. And I was like, oh my God, just now things were, people were starting to come and everything. And now I have to but I immediately started using the Zoom platform. I was like, okay, let me try. I don't have anything to lose, so let me try. And by God's grace, it picked up. I started with one batch and then it became another batch. And then I only do group classes, but then I started having inquiries for prenatal yoga, for kids yoga, for one-on-one, for therapy and all that. And
So
that's when
are these all live sessions or you have recorded
all
sessions?
these are live. For now, I'll come to that. So this happened, and then I realized that I don't have to do everything by myself. So I assembled a bunch of other yoga teachers who specialize in all these things. So I have a specialist for therapy, I have a specialist for kids yoga, and that's how Yoga Darshini team built. And then what happened? The pandemic came to an end, thank God. And then people were going back to office and school, and they were not able to log into the live class at a specific time. And that's when yoga came into play, because they were like, we want to practice, but we don't know how to practice because we don't have time. So I said, okay, so I will give you recorded classes. Don't waste your time scrolling for the class in YouTube, because that's a rabbit hole. You start with one and you'll be like still scrolling after 30 minutes. By the time you could have done your practice itself. So I said, I will give you 5 classes every month for 30 minutes. Asana, pranayam, relaxation, meditation, everything included. Just do this, and we will meet each other via Zoom over the weekends at least twice a month, so that you still have that personal connect. And that's how yoga came into play. And then with yoga, then people were like, do you have something for diabetes? Do you have something for PCOD? Do you have something for fertility? All these things are, people ask. And so slowly we are trying to bring in all those modules. Yoga for diabetes is already there. And, so these are like classes that people can practice at their own.
Yeah, so what I also take away from this is that it's important to keep taking cues from your environment and how situations are changing, and then keep pivoting, because you have to be open
Absolutely.
to
Yeah.
new ideas, and you don't have to be like so emotionally invested in something that you're not ready to give that up and try out a different
But
thing.
it is easier said than done, no, Richa. Like every time this change happened, I was feeling very scared. I was like, things are going fine now. Something is changing that is beyond my control. And it is scary. And it is not at all a nice feeling, because it's doing well and you don't fix something that is not broken mentality. But there is no other choice but to adapt, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So, so I will now take you to our next segment, which is a rapid fire. And, I am personally very curious about how women um, build their relationships with money. And, so I speak to women, who are homemakers, who are professionals, who are entrepreneurs, all sorts of, college students, and they all have different ways in which they've developed their equation with money. And so, I have a set of questions for you. Keep your answers brief, and
okay.
we just want to understand how you look at money. Yeah. All right. So tell me, give me an example of a good money habit that you have.
Saving.
Saving? Where? Okay.
Yeah.
And where do you save?
Fixed deposits, mutual funds.
Okay. Okay. So you save and you invest. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
A bad habit that you want to get rid of.
Very, very conservative with my money. So, yeah.
Okay. I see that. All right. I will give you two situations. Yeah.
Okay.
I want to see how you value time versus money.
Okay.
I can make you double as wealthy as you are today. I can double your wealth at your current age, or I can make you half your age with all the wisdom and intelligence you have today. What would you pick?
Second.
Second? Why? Why is that extra time important? What do you want to do or do different?
Yeah, maybe then I will make different choices, and I would definitely be a better human than what I was. And yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And what do you think you need to work upon?
Oh, lots, yeah. We
Yeah.
all are work in progress, with respect to money. With respect to money.
With respect to no, life in general, because if you are given half your life again, you will do a lot of things differently. That's interesting. That's interesting. Maybe I would choose the second option myself. Half.
Yeah. See.
Yeah. There's so many things I want to do different.
And see, honestly, we all want to go back to our youth, right? Like I'm 35 now.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't have to worry about anything and just chill.
Okay, tell me, what is the costliest thing you own?
Nothing like that.
Could be anything.
I don't know.
Costliest could be anything. It doesn't have to be something worth 1 crore. It can be like worth 10,000, and it could be very costly.
Laptop, mobile.
Laptop, yeah.
Maybe my jewelry that I'm wearing.
Okay, yeah, maybe. And tell me about an expense that you make. Let's say the happiest purchase you've made in your life. Something that's made you given you a lot of joy.
Whenever I invest in studying something that really brings me a lot of joy.
Okay, and what kind of
workshops?
Yeah, okay.
Related to my field, workshops and upskilling, all this that really, and travel, of course. I love spending money on travel. Yeah.
Have you traveled in the past 3 years?
No, I see. To 2019,
holiday.
2020, I had my daughter. So
okay,
what happens? Now she's going to turn 3, so I think we will start again.
Great. Okay. An expense that you regret?
Nothing like that.
Nothing. It's interesting. I spoke to some people, and like 8 out of 10 women, they said we regret spending so much on our wedding lehenga. I'm like, wow. Like, I spent so much and I've never used it again. It's just lying somewhere in the cupboard, kahin pe packed and kept. So
my parents had a blast in my wedding. Okay, so they undertook it like a massive project and they had a blast. But
like most Indian parents, I think, like most Indian parents,
they enjoyed. I didn't spend a penny.
Are you the only child? Are you the only?
Yeah, I'm the only child, and I didn't start working. I got my offer, and then I worked. I started going to my job after I got married, so I didn't have any money. Even though I was interning and I was earning like 5,000, 6,000 rupees even from my final year of engineering and all. But yeah, so and to say about the lehenga, me and my mom, we were very conscious that whatever sarees we buy, it should be something that we can use, nothing too grand. The costliest wedding saree that we had was like 11,000 rupees.
Well, yeah, I mean, makes sense. Because
we are boring people like that. So.
No, lehenga anyway, you don't get to wear. You don't have that many occasions. Sarees are a good investment from that.
Absolutely.
So, I think that is all that I have for you right now. It was such a pleasure. It was fun talking to you. And anything you want to say?
If I can just, I just want to add one thing, especially with respect to women in business and women in general. First is like, be fully aware of your financial positions. Have the discipline to do your income expense every month. That is really going to give us I know it is all boring stuff, but it is really going to help us in the decision making. That's the first thing. And the second thing is like, we women entrepreneurs, we do fabulous stuff, but we don't talk about it. And we are very, we undersell ourselves, especially when it comes to pricing. And I think we should, know our worth and put it out there, and, not be afraid of, oh, I'm too pricey. Will people take my,
Yeah.
no, the right people will take it. And, just go and put your worth out there. Don't undersell yourself. And that is something that I really want to
So
say here.
I think there is nothing more that I can say to wrap this up. I mean, very beautifully put. I think you should know your worth and you should just claim your own space, in the environment that you
Yes.
operate in. And
Yes.
yeah, just be confident of the amazing work that you're doing. So thank you so much, Aruna. Thanks for spending this time with us and sharing your own journey. I'm sure there's a lot of takeaway for people at different life stages from your
Yeah.
story. So
Thank you.
thank you. Thanks a ton. Bye.
Thank you for listening also. Bye.
Bye.